often receiving poor grades and frequently contemplated dropping out. Through persistence and motivation, he graduated from Eastern Illinois University in 1993, delivering his inspirational motivational message through keynotes, seminars, and success coaching. Shawn is dedicated to helping people reach their greatest potential. Please welcome Shawn Ramey.
Good afternoon, ABCA. You know, I look out in this audience, and this reminds me of my very first showcase. I was sitting at my desk. The phone rang. Hello? Yes, this is Shawn Ramey. How can I help you? Miss Jackson. Great. Okay. I've been awarded a showcase. Fantastic. So when is it? It's 2 weeks from this Thursday. Fantastic. Thank you for the opportunity. Immediately after getting off the phone, I began to script my presentation. See, ladies and gentlemen, this represented something of great importance to me. For years, I wanted to share my ideas and concepts with decision makers like yourself. And finally, that day had arrived. It's Thursday, the big day of my presentation. I arrived at the convention center 2 hours in advance. I wanted to get myself mentally prepared to deliver the presentation of my life. So I'm in my car going over my notes. Wow, 5 minutes to showtime. So I make it into the convention hall, and I make it into the conference room. And as I enter the room, the MC begins to introduce me. It was a gentleman who had on black and white checkered pants, and he sported a powder blue jacket, and he had on a pair of glasses very similar to those of Joe Paterno, the football coach. Our speaker today hails. He's having difficulties with his words, so he leans over to the woman who's seated right next to him, which is Miss Jackson. And Miss Jackson, what's this word? Oh, it's cress. Miss Jackson, you have a worse hand, right? Our speaker today hails from Hazel Crest, Illinois. Would you please welcome Shawn Ramey? So I make my way up to the stage. I place my speech onto the lectern and begin my conversation with the audience. As I was speaking, I noticed several people at the corner of my eye standing. I started thinking to myself, a standing ovation this early in my presentation. But they turned and walked out. Oh my goodness, what did I just say? With 10 minutes or so remaining, there was only one man left. So I decided to change up my presentation. So I went to this man, and I raised my voice, and I became more passionate in my speech. And I said, sir, you can change your life. I saw an empty chair. I went over to the chair. You don't have to sit there. Take charge of your life. I started speaking to the floor. You don't have to lie there. The world is at your disposal. And before I knew it, one woman came back in, and a man came back in, and another woman came back in. Before I knew it, every seat was taken, and I closed to an ovation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not how you start. It's how you finish. You know, my presentation could have been much better had I done this. If I had a vision of myself doing well and have created a plan. And exactly what is a vision? A vision is a mental image of what's possible for your life. I read in a book that's been around for a couple thousand years. And in the book, it read, a people without a vision will soon perish. I said, wow, that's powerful. And it's very powerful. I think of Ray Charles, who had a vision. Ray Charles became blind at the age of 5. His mother was poor. She couldn't afford to take him to the best doctor. Ray Charles did not have to be blind, but yet he went on to become one of America's greatest entertainers. Helen Keller lost her hearing and her eyesight at 19 months, but yet went on to become one of history's most notable women. Helen Keller was once asked, is there anything worse than blindness? She replied, yes. Eyesight, but no vision. Wow, that's powerful. And there are 3 types of vision. First type of vision, eyesight. I see you, you see me. Second type of vision is hindsight. It's our ability to look into the past. But there's a problem. Many of us, we look in the past and we can't make a disconnection about something that happened to us 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. I have a woman in my family I love very much. She's 75 years old, and she always thinks about something that happened to her when she was 7 years old. She spends hours talking about, I can't believe that this happened to me when I was 7 years old. I made a mistake. I did the same thing. You know, when I was a baby boy growing up on the west side of Chicago, I used to love to watch The Gumby Show. And Gumby was a green, Play-Doh-like, play silly buddy figure that was a subject of a popular television show back in the 1970s. So I'm sitting in my chair watching the program on my mom's 25-inch black and white television. And my mother, she sneaks up behind me, taps me on my shoulder. Mama, you scared me. Well, guess what I have for you? I have a surprise. And she reaches from behind her back, and in her hand, Mama, a Gumby doll. I grabbed that doll, I sat down, and I started playing with it. I started tossing it up and down. Ooh, Gumby, ooh, Gumby. And at the time, we had a dog. His name was Nixon. Nixon was a black and brown Cairn Terrier. He looked like Toto, Dorothy's dog in The Wizard of Oz. Anybody ever seen The Wizard of Oz? Love that movie. So I'm sitting down and I'm playing with Gumby, and Nixon's watching me have all this fun. So he gets excited. He starts jumping up and down, and his tail starts wiggling back and forth. And then he tries, get out, Nixon, get out. He's trying to jump on me. And before I knew it, he grabbed Gumby. Nixon, give it back, give it back. And before I knew it, it was out of my hands. And he chewed Gumby and spit Gumby on the floor in many pieces. With tears in my eyes, I kneeled down and I put Gumby back together one piece at a time, and Gumby was whole. Ladies and gentlemen, life shakes us up. Life chews us up, but we can put it back together one piece at a time. There's a third type of eyesight. It's called insight. Insight is the ability to see things as they develop. Anybody ever heard that little voice before? You know, you should do this, you shouldn't do that. Maybe you should go with A instead of B. See, there were times in my life I didn't listen to that little voice. But one night, I did. It changed my life. I had made a decision after being kicked out of school for the second time that I was going to do something right. So I got back in school, and I decided that I was going to join Student Senate, right? So I was to meet with the president of Student Senate. It was to be Monday at 9 o'clock. So Sunday night, I take off. And I'm driving back to school, so I stopped and I picked up my buddy. His name was Bo. And Bo and I were driving back to school. At the time, I was attending Eastern Illinois University, which was about 100 miles south of Chicago. So we're driving, and Bo and I, we had this special concoction. It wasn't legal. I don't advise anybody to drive with any legal concoctions. So we're driving, and Bo goes, dude, I need to go to the washroom. I'm like, wait a minute, dude, we're almost at the school. No, I really need to go to the washroom. So I said, okay, 20 more minutes, so I'm driving. And then finally, I had to go to the washroom. And something said, get off the road, get off the road, get off the road. So I get off the road, and less than 30 seconds later, there was a car that came in the very lane that we were in with no headlights going in the opposite direction. I said, wow. Unbelievable. So there are three types of vision. Now, some of you might be thinking, Shawn, I've got this vision of what's possible for my life. You know, a vision is an image of what's possible for your life. What is it? Okay, you have the vision, but what should I do with it? You need to write it down. You need to commit it to paper. You need to plan for your future. Here's something else. I made a decision that I was going to change my life. I did some horrible things as a student. Got kicked out twice. But after I got kicked out the second time, I went to work, and about 1 o'clock in the morning, I got off. So I walked home, and I reached into the refrigerator. I wasn't sleeping when I got home. I grabbed a soda. I sat down on my couch, and I picked up the clicker. You know, I was the type of person, you know, just like many guys, I could watch 15 programs at one time. So I'm surfing, and I'm surfing. But I can't find anything on television. I'm surfing, and then wow, I ran across this infomercial. There's this one guy. He had on a white suit of clothes, and he had on a very interesting pair of glasses. He said, oh, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a massive year if you plan for it. I said, wow, I was taken back. So I surfed some more, and I surfed some more, and I could not find that guy. 2 weeks later, I'm up at 7 o'clock in the morning, getting ready to go to class. NBC, there's that guy again. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, you should plan on having a massive year. Then he asked this question, Where's the richest place in America? Yes, you have it. The graveyard. There you had many people who had great ideas but never planned on using them. I said, wow, that guy was fabulous. You know what? I watched that program. I watched it intently. I heard exactly what he was saying, but I didn't listen to one word. See, he said something very important. If you want to achieve success, you got to plan for it. You've got to plan for it. So, we have vision, and you've got to back it with a plan. Next thing you need to do. You know what? Many of you are students, right? There are students all across America who want success. All you have to do is take 1 minute and decide on achieving success. Just take 1 minute. You know, there was Dr. Benjamin Mays, who was the president of Morehouse University years ago, who was a great mentor to Dr. Martin Luther King. He said this, 1 minute can change your life. Only 1 minute. He said, you have just a minute. Only 60 seconds in it. Forced upon you, you can't refuse it. You didn't seek it, you didn't choose it. But it's up to you to use it. You must suffer if you abuse it. Give account if you lose it. You have only a minute, but an eternity is in it. APCA, it's been a pleasure.